Indigenous to planet Earth. They were even here before we were.
A remarkable yet virtually forgotten USO case from Sanderson's research is the mysterious St. Andrew incident off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, on October 30th, 1906.
One of the great cases from the early part of the 20th century is the SS St. Andrew. She was a vessel that was crossing the Atlantic on her way to Hamburg. She was off Halifax when not only her crew, but passengers aboard that ship sighted a UFO.
Sanderson reports that at 4:30 p.m. the ship was bombarded by a huge flaming object that zigzags through the sky, falls into the water, and disappears. But according to his reports, it couldn't have been a meteor, because meteors do not zigzag and move with apparent intelligent control. The story was even covered in the New York Times. First Officer V.E. Spencer says, quote, "I have seen meteors all over the world, but never such a large one as this." Throughout Sanderson's career, a cloud of mystery drifted around him.
Sanderson was a part of the British intelligence service, but what we're really cloudy about is a lot of his friends were in the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA, and then, as we can tell from some of his books, Sanderson had a direct connection to the Office of Navy Intelligence and was getting information from them.
Until his death in 1973, Sanderson traversed the globe in search of underwater submerged objects. Today, some USO experts believe his research was provided to him by highly placed government sources.
Many of us wonder, was Sanderson still in the intelligence services? Was he still going on some of his expeditions, some of his explorations, and using part of what he was doing to feed back to his old friends in intelligence services, but also getting new information for his books from them too?
At the end of his life, weakened by cancer, Sanderson fell victim to friends and enemies alike who coveted his research.
A lot of people would back their station wagon up to his bunkhouse and said they were going to borrow files and never brought them back.
Speculation continues in various circles about whether secret government operatives removed Sanderson's files, thereby destroying the best cache of deep-sea UFO evidence ever collected.
In the beginning, Ivan Sanderson was thinking about USOs as creatures that were in the air, that came into water. Towards the end of his career, he also had to engage in thinking about them as possibly intelligent craft from outer space.
Coming up, an eyewitness report of two massive disc-like objects emerging from an Australian lagoon and leaving evidence in its wake. According to experts, one of the most impressive traits of USOs is their ability to affect, change, and displace the surface of the water, in much the same way that UFOs in our skies reportedly generate similar crop circles on land.
An interesting aspect of USOs is the fact that they leave a physical presence on the water.
USOs create the same kind of effect over water, over ice, so there's a real similarity between the physical trace evidence of a USO landing and a UFO landing on planet Earth.
It's like if you took a glass and you stuck it in water, right? Well, now you have a hole on the water.
To USO researchers, the most impressive and well-publicized water crop circle case is the Tully water nest case, which occurred in northern Australia in January 1966.
This Tully's Nest story was one of the most publicized USO/UFO events in Australia. In fact, it had much the same kind of publicity that Roswell had here in the United States because everybody was involved, the military, the newspapers. It became a tourist attraction. People made pilgrimages to Tully's Nest to see where the USO came out of the water.
Over the past decade, Australian researcher Bill Chalker has conducted the most intensive study of the Tully case.
At 9 a.m. on January the 19th, 1966, young farmer George Pedley was driving a tractor through a neighbouring farmer's property a place called Horseshoe Lagoon near Tully in far north Queensland. And he first started to experience some problems with his tractor. It seemed to be sort of missing, and as if it was about to stop on him, and then he heard this high-pitched hissing noise, and he looked in the direction of where this noise was coming from, and at about 20 to 30 feet away, rising from the lagoon, was a sort of a dish-shaped metallic-looking object that rose up to an altitude of about 30 to 40 feet, and then appeared to go into a shallow dive and then take off at high speed.
George Pedley described the object as appearing like two massive dinner plates stacked atop one another, about 30 feet in width and 12 feet in height.
It was a media sensation for quite a number of weeks, with sort of correspondents appearing, giving kind of on-the-spot reports, and there was even international coverage of it, and it was described in the press as a flying saucer nest.
This nest contained evidence of a reported USO touchdown, a distinctive imprint left behind on the surface of the lagoon.
The whirlpool effect in the water lasted for days and days after the USO took off. The Navy tested it, scientists tested it. A lot of tests were done on it and analyses were done on it, and there were all kinds of theories. And what they found was nothing could explain the water impressions.
In his numerous interviews and investigations over the years, Trucca found George Pedley to be a unique USO witness.
Yeah, George Pedley impressed me as being a very credible kind of witness, a typical kind of North Queenslander type cane farmer character, really the last kind of person you'd expect to come out with a story like this.
During the various public and private investigations in Tully over the subsequent weeks, at least a half-dozen other water nests were identified in the area. Water samples were sent to the physics department at the University of Brisbane for radiation testing. A reed from the center of the water nest tested positive for beta radiation, but within days the sample mysteriously disappeared. Research into the Tully case continues to this day. With no shortage of USO cases in the past and present, many continue to wonder why these objects are here and what could possibly be next.
My belief is you got this big universe and all these different planets. I mean, anything is possible. Why should we be the only intelligent beings?
Some researchers interpret the recent events involving USOs as something more sinister.
I believe that there are extraterrestrial civilizations who have been watching our development over the last 100 years with knowing there's a lot of promise, but also a lot of risk.
There's no doubt about it. There's something going on. They're covering stuff up. They're lying, and I would like to see congressional hearings in Washington to cut the crap and see what's going on, you know?
Does it mean that somehow there's an event coming on planet Earth, cataclysmic, end of time, and somehow the USOs are coming out of the Earth because the Earth itself is in trouble? Maybe we're nearing the end of days.
I don't think this has been used for centuries.
Out there is a whole lost world.
An all-new series that brings to life these lost worlds premieres next on the History Channel.